Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Heads and Tails. On this beautiful Mother's Day, we extend heartfelt appreciation to all the incredible mothers shaping our world, starting with a special tribute to my own mom. Your resilience, love, and wisdom have sculpted me into the individual you all hear today. So, thank you deeply. To every mother out there, we are endlessly grateful for your boundless love and sacrifices. Today, in honor of mothers everywhere, we have a delightful guest joining us, who just so happens to be a mother herself. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mary, a seasoned traveler with over 3 decades of experience in the vibrant city of Chiang Mai. Mary shares her adventures from skiing in renowned locales to immersing herself in diverse cultures worldwide. But our focus today lies in her pursuit of musical excellence in the artistic hub of Chiang Mai. Expect a riveting conversation as Mary takes us on a journey through the dynamic live music scene of Chiang Mai, recounting the highs and lows with candid honesty. So, sit back, relax, and immerse yourself in the rhythm of our discussion. Enjoy the tales, the melodies, and the heartfelt reflections. Hello, Mary.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Very good, thank you.
Yeah. Just to give people who are listening a bit context, where are we right now?
I'm in the sourdough bakehouse, Tawi, in Chiang Mai, in the center of Chiang Mai, in the old town. And it's run by a Karen family.
Tell me more about the Karen family.
Well, the Karen are one of the major hill tribes that live both in Thailand and Myanmar. So really their borders are not defined in the same way. There is a Karen state also in Myanmar, but a lot of them have migrated from the troubles in Myanmar to Thailand. But anyway, they live up in the hills mostly. And they're a very intelligent tribe. They're very different from some of the other hill tribes. They are mixed. Some are Buddhists, but there is a huge Christian community as well of Karen. And they are traditionally the mahouts for elephants. They look after the elephants. And that's the basic information about them.
Okay. And are there a lot of other tribes?
Yes. There's about 7 major tribes in the north of Thailand. Most of them originate from China a long time ago. I'm not the person to give you the details, I mean really. But they have in the past had a lot of trouble getting Thai citizenship. But it's better now, I think most of them do get it.
I do think, having been to Laos on a motorbike, I do feel like there's the people around here aren't necessarily from China or from Thailand, or it feels just like a mixture of.
Well, the Lanna kingdom, you know that Thailand originally was 2 kingdoms. So the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, which is really Lao. They're Lanna, they also come from Lao.
Okay.
So it's more connected to Lao than it is to central or southern Thailand. And the Lanna language is only from the north. The culture's very different. They're very gentle people, very beautiful. So, yeah, there's a lot of people who are from different ethnic backgrounds, different tribes, and a lot of them in central Chiang Mai as well.
Right. Chiang Mai just stroked me. The first morning I got here, it was late November, I remember. It just stroked me as a very, very different part of Thailand, having visited, Bangkok, Pattaya, doing all the south thing. And when I came here, it was just like a breath of fresh air because it was very, very different than what I've seen. Like,
Well, yeah, each area is very different. I mean, we think this area is the most special of anywhere. Yeah, it's an amazing place. But it's amazing too because it kind of is it's the musical and artistic capital for me of Southeast Asia. I mean, there are obviously many other, musical and artistic places, but if you think about even before it was very developed, there's so much here that they do. That there used to be a lot, and I'm not sure how many now there are, but what we used to call the factory road. So there was always factories, lacquerware, silver, leather, umbrellas, wood, you can go on, gold, I mean, just
craftsmanship,
handmade stuff. And then it seems like it attracts particularly musicians from all over Thailand and obviously from all over the world now, but it is a kind of magnet for artists. They're just a lot of very talented artists, local artists. And if you look at design here, they are able to design and build things just so special and so individual. They'll do a little festival, like a pop-up festival design, and every stall, every artist, every craftsman there is unique and very, very talented. So it seems to attracts people from other areas as well because of the natural talent here. At least that's my experience. That's what I would say, having been here, having moved here about 33 years ago.
What? Tell me about how the first time you visited here and how it's different than now. Oh, yeah? Go ahead.
Stop.
Go ahead.
I just want to check. I feel like I'm having to sit near. Is it fine where I sit? Can I just be normal? I don't know how far away. If I was singing, I'd have to be nearer.
It's better if it's closer, so maybe if we just do
does it go any high? Okay, just as long as I know.
Yeah.
Can it go? Is that better?
Perfect. Much better.
Because I don't want to be leaning if I can help it.
It picks up, yeah.
Did you want to check what you heard, see how it is?
I hear it right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so ask the question again.
So the first time that you visited Thailand, I would love to know the reason.
Okay, so I was living in Colorado in the States. I'm a skier. Do a bit of ski racing because I love it, but I'm not very good. But I lived in Vail for 14 years. Amazing. It's like paradise. Was really in those days very small, very international. So it was a bit like living in Europe in the middle of America. Wasn't very American.
So I heard about Boulder.
Boulder's on the front ridge. So Vail and Aspen are on the western slope. Okay. So if you imagine you come across the flats and you come to Denver, and Boulder is also on that side in the foothills, but it is more like the western slope people. And then you go over the mountains, you come to a totally different everything. Different. Obviously it's mountains, it's the people who come from there, and then also again it's an area that attracts a particular type of people. So people who ski obviously was the main attraction. It used to be, there was mining up in the hills there. So there are 14,000 foot peaks that you can hike up to the top of, quite a lot of them. And Vail itself was built, it's like 8,100 feet high, the village. So it's pretty high, and then you ski above that. Anyway, they've got a whole history there. But the point with Vail was that one of the special, again for me, lucky to live in a special place in the world where you're in a small town, but it's very international. It's like being in a city. In certain ways, because you have the culture, you have the educated people, you have people from all over the world, And so it was a special place. And in those days, we just had a great time. Everyone worked a lot, but then we had off seasons where we had nothing and tend to go away and travel. Anyway, so I was living there. And when I had to wait to get a green card. I had lived there for like 10 years. So it took 2 years to get the green card. I've traveled all my life from before I was born. So it was quite strange for me to have to stay in the States for 2 years. So once I got it, I was like, okay, time to go and see. Am I going to stay here forever, or am I going to move somewhere else? So I thought, well, I'll go around the world for a year and see. So I went back to England because I could buy cheap tickets there. And I went to a new travel agent. It was the beginning of computers, and it was sort of unusual because they had like all these maybe 30 different agents with a computer. You went and sat down. They were all people who'd done long haul travel. You got to remember, in those days people didn't go to Thailand. It wasn't somewhere they did. Anyway, so I was like random, went to some guy, sat down opposite him, and I said, I want a round the world ticket, because they had cheap ones. So he said, where do you want to go? I said, well, I don't know, maybe Hong Kong, Singapore, Bali, Australia, etc. Pacific,
So people didn't go there, but you still had...
well, I didn't know anything about
okay.
Thailand. So he said to me, well, you have to go to Thailand. I said, Thailand? Why would I go to Thailand? I'm alone. What? Bangkok, a single person. He said, you have to go to Thailand, and you have to go to Chiang Mai, and you have to do a trek in Chiang Mai to the hill tribes. I was like, but I don't know anything about Thailand. I don't want to, why would I? I've never heard anything about it. He said, you have to go. It'll only cost like £20 more if you get a ticket up from...
So did this person know you, or they were just trying to sell you something?
No,
okay.
They're all travelers. They were people who traveled a lot. Their agents were people who were... That's why I knew that I could ask questions about going around the world. So I said, oh, all right, okay, I'll go. Is 2 weeks enough? He said, it's not enough, but never mind, just go anyway. So I went to Hong Kong first, and I can't remember, maybe Singapore first. When I got to Bangkok, I didn't go into Bangkok. I flew straight up to Chiang Mai. And when I got to Chiang Mai, I just thought I'd died and gone to heaven. I was like, what is this place? I don't know, it just hit me right away. I was just, as many people are, gobsmacked. But this is a long time ago, so it was much, much smaller, and there were not really many Westerners there. And everywhere I went, immediately, I just kept hearing live music from the 70s. And I was like, oh, this is my music. What's happened? How can I be? I just couldn't believe it. And I just started, to get to know musicians and other people, obviously, and I just loved it. Anyway, I just stayed here a week, and then I went down to Bangkok. Oh yeah, I did a hill tribe. It was amazing. I went with a Karen guide, Karen villages, and it was just amazing. So anyway, then I went to Bangkok, spent a few days there, and then I had to go on.
So that visit was in the 90s, yeah?
89
maybe, okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So then I went to Bangkok, spent about a week there, and I was just like, I have to come back this way. And then I heard someone saying, like an English guy saying, that he was teaching English. And I thought, well, maybe I could do that, So anyway, then I had to leave. I went on to wherever I was going. And I got as far as, I went to Bali. And I got as far as New Zealand.
How did you like Bali, by the way? How did you like Bali, by the way?
Bali was amazing. In those days, it's again very small. It was amazing. Very easy to learn Bahasa.
Indonesia,
also, from the first day I got to Thailand, I tried to speak Thai. I tried to learn immediately. In those first 2 weeks, I tried to learn.
By the way,
difficult.
Mary has very fluent Thai.
Well, I don't know about very fluent, but for a Farang, it's
for
good.
a Farang, I'm very impressed.
Anyway, I went to Bali. It was amazing, and I met amazing people there. And then I got as far. I went to Australia. My sister was working with a sailing race around the world, so we all had Christmas with other family. Then I went to New Zealand, stayed with an old skiing friend. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to go back to Thailand. So I went back to Bali, and then I went through Java and Sumatra. And then my sister was working with a race in the Philippines, so I just went there quickly for a bit. And then I worked my way back up Thailand to Bangkok. And I just thought, well, I just try to teach a bit. I don't know how I found someone who wanted someone to teach for a week or so. And eventually I got back to Chiang Mai. And so I got back to Chiang Mai, and I was like, okay, better find some work. So I went into a lawyer and said, do you want someone to teach English? And they're like, yeah. So I started teaching a group of lawyers a bit. And then I don't remember how soon after I got a job at a Thai language school for, like teaching English. And, then I had some private students. Anyway, so I was living here, and I was just I could only stay a while because I only had a year for my ticket, so I had to continue. So, and of course, I fell in love, and I was, just besotted with the whole place and the music. And then. So
you would say it was kind of the same in terms of music, live music happening?
Well, it wasn't the same because Thai musicians, there was a lot of what we call luktung. It's like country Thai music. They'll have a bar where people are just drinking, and then there's a girl singing the Thai, which is a very different type of Thai music, with someone playing, or maybe a synthesized music or something. It's more from the northeast, the type of music. But anyway, they had more of that.
So northeast country music.
Yeah, and then they had these Thai musicians playing Western music. They wouldn't really dare, to play their own music. It wasn't a thing that you would. I mean, yes, they had Thai bands who played.
Do you think because they liked playing that kind of music, they listened to it, or like they felt like it's good for tourism or something?
No. They're musicians, and so they can't help but they would be influenced by the great musicians of the West of the 70s, and so. Yes, also there's certain Western musicians that they just picked up and have always been played here, like the Bee Gees. There's certain songs that they've always played, like Country Roads, and various songs that have always. And the Western music they listened to was specific to them. I mean, it's just they pick up certain things, certain styles. So anyway, they would play that music, and I suppose also maybe Eric Clapton quite a bit. There was, but they were influenced by the West. These are musicians in Thailand have always been regarded slightly separately by Thais. They don't sort of fit into Thai society exactly, so they were kind of outsiders. So all of that is the way they think, the way they are. They're regarded now less so because they're much more accepted in a way, but they were definitely on the outside of society. Sure. So there was a restaurant called the Riverside, which was very, very famous in those days. It's still here now, but it was the place that musicians went and played basically covers. But as usual with them, they're just so talented that they could also put their own stamp on things, which they do much more now. They would do more traditional covers in the old days, but now they'll take an amazing, Jimi Hendrix or something and put their own kind of thing on it, so that it in itself, it's another work of art. Anyway, so in those days there was that, and that's what kind of kept me here to a degree. And then of course I only knew Thai people. I didn't really know any Farang because there were not that many. And then of course I tried to speak Thai more and more, and then I was here. And what happened then? So I was here for 5 months, before. And then I had to leave. So I went back to New Zealand and continue with my trip through to Fiji, Rarotonga, Tahiti.
So this is after you went to the travel agency, you first came to Chiang Mai, you did the trek, and then you did the whole rigmarole, and then you made
I went as far as New Zealand and came back and did more travel through Indonesia, and then got back to Thailand, and then worked and lived here for about 5 months, but then I had to leave because my ticket was only valid a year. So I went back to New Zealand, and then I went through the Pacific, Fiji, Rarotonga, amazing,
right,
Tahiti. And then I got back to the States, and my friend came to meet me. We went to the Grand Canyon and Las Vegas and back to Vail.
Nice.
And then the next winter we had huge event. We had the World Alpine Ski Championships, which is massive. So as being a journalist, and I was at that time I was writing, and also was also on the radio DJ. I did a lot of jobs in Vail, but I'm trying to think at what point. Yeah, I was also a magazine editor there. Anyway, so I'm basically a journalist, so I was involved very much in the coverage and as a skier and ski racer aficionado, I was very much involved in it. So we had a fabulous winter with that. But after the winter, I thought, I've been here now like 14 years, however long it was, and I'm going to move to Thailand. So I just left that because I'd been winter for so long. It's like 6 months a year winter. I was kind of sick of scraping the ice off the car and being freezing cold, and I don't like the cold except skiing. So I just packed up and moved to Thailand.
It's almost you tolerate cold because you like skiing so
only,
much, right?
I can't tolerate cold. But if you're skiing, you're dressed warmly,
sure,
and you're skiing, and it's amazing, and you can bear it. So anyway, then I moved here. But when I got here, I discovered I came back for a man, and although he had kind of waited for me, he hadn't waited the whole time, and he had a girlfriend, and I was absolutely devastated.
Oh no.
Devastated. It was Songkran, which is
April,
huge festival here.
Yes.
And I just was, but I thought I wanted to run back home, and then I'm like, no, you've moved here, you're going to stay, you're going to do it. So I got through it somehow. I'm glad to say that we also still had an amazing connection.
Beautiful.
Forever. But anyway, so then after that, I was here, I worked, taught English, worked a little bit on the radio doing a show at the university, just a tiny bit. Did a little bit reading the news for Thai radio, but mainly I just taught English. And I did a lot one-to-one. Anyway, so then after a few years, met my husband, got married.
Oh, in Thailand, in Chiang Mai?
Yeah, he's
oh, wow.
a Thai from Pisanulok. And we got married. We had our lovely daughter.
Beautiful.
And then we decided, I thought it also was good for him to get, because he's a bass player, and again, he knew all about everything, Western music.
Blues is huge here.
Sorry?
I just wanted to squeeze that in. Blues, like when you were talking about, like they adopt some genres and they kind of like put their own twist to it.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I guess I discovered the blues when I was on the radio, doing radio shows. And then because I've always been into music, but I sort of got into it more because I could choose the music and just got to know more about it. And then here, there was a lot of blues music. It was mainly blues that they played, the covers, I would say. And so so I was involved already with the music community quite a lot. But I also knew people who played Thai songs. And in fact, an ex of mine was very popular, although he did play Western too, but he also wrote music, and he would play his to Thai, the Thais, he played Thai music. So that was unusual. Anyways, then we decided to go to England when my daughter was nearly 2, because she was very non-stop, and I thought there's no way she can be in a Thai school. Thai school is very quiet. You just sit quietly. She never stopped since she was born. So, and for him to get, exposure and learn more about...
Because he had never been out of Thailand
never, as
before.
All the Thais had not been. I mean, very rare.
Few.
In those none of them had been.
Even these days, when I meet Thai
Yeah,
people,
they've
the
never
majority
been.
they've
No,
never
they
been
can't
out.
because
Yeah.
it's too expensive relative to
What you're
Thai
making
living,
here,
and they
yeah.
can't get visas.
Absolutely.
And now it's really difficult to get visas. But anyway, so we moved to England, and we lived there for like 20 years, and we'd come back every year or two when we had the money, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. We'd come back for a month. So I kept my tie up somehow, but I don't know how, because we didn't really know hardly any Thais in England.
But you would be communicating with your husband.
Oh,
in
he
Thai
spoke in
all the
English.
time.
When we
Oh,
lived
really?
here before, we
Uh-huh.
spoke Thai. The moment we got to England, he never would speak Thai to me. And he didn't speak Thai to his daughter either. So I tried to speak Thai to her for like 3 years, but I had to give up in the end. So he was like, oh, she'll get confused. I mean, no. Anyway, so she didn't really speak Thai. And then we just lived there, and we just missed Thailand a lot, especially me. I missed it the most, probably. Anyway, eventually he decided he couldn't. He played music with bands there, but then like pub bands are not that professional compared with here. The music here is just so it's so good,
top-notch. It's really top-notch.
That for him it was tough because there'd be a lot of people who play, but they have their day jobs, whereas he's a professional musician,
Sure.
So he toured a bit. And he played with a couple of bands. He also played in a good Led Zeppelin cover band. Was quite very good.
Just to change gears a bit, I want you to remind me of that story of a little kid that we met. Not a little kid, the guy who in Papua House. Remember, we were talking to this one long hair musician. He had run away from his house between 11 and 14.
Yeah,
he was...
Well, he hadn't exactly run away, but what happened? So he's one, for me, they're the best young band in Thailand,
Yes.
Vega. So it's Mew and Yo and Fio. And then depends on the original Vega guitarist is called Gun. But he does a lot of touring with other bands. So now they often play as King Cobra with perhaps the best young guitarist in Chiang Mai for me, Top.
Oh, Top is...
Yeah.
I wanted to have like a conversation with him, but he's like, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. He's very busy. He does like tattoo stuff.
He's extraordinary.
He plays like every night. 15 years of experience.
And also sometimes they play with young Tae, who is also equally amazing.
Oh, with the hair that goes down
He's
here. Yeah.
He's
Flamboyant.
Very flamboyant. Yeah. So any of those, for me, those are I call them my sons, and like adopted sons because they're just amazing. Anyway, so what you were asking about? Oh yeah, Mew, who's from Chiang Mai, and they come from around either Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai. They're from around here. Anyway, Mew was. Which I only discovered recently, this story, but when he was 11, he went to the temple, lived there for 3 years, and then when he was 14, came out of the temple and went to live in the middle of town with his friend. So basically didn't live at home from the age of 11, and played, he was into trying to play music and stuff, and he played, he went to school and he, played music. And when he was about 18, he decided he had wanted anyway, he knew that he needed to go somewhere else. So he moved to Chiang Mai by himself. And luckily for him, he needed to go to college. I think something he got, I can't remember how he got some kind of scholarship or something for the first year, or someone paid. And then he had to work every day to get, play music, to pay his college. And Boy from Boy Blues Bar gave him a job. So he played, and that was his first gig really. Nice. And so he owes a great debt to Boy.
Wow.
And anyway, so that's him. And Boy, of course, another amazing character, Tirasak Konchakte. I probably pronounce it wrong, but so he started boy blues bar. I want to say.
Oh, he started the bar even.
Oh gosh, yes. He
How old was he when he started that?
Well, that's a good point. Maybe about
20 something.
About 30 maybe.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, you could check this with his wife more. Anyway, he started the bar and has always been incredible supporter of musicians. He was flamboyant, he was funny, he was brilliant. And the bar, I want to say it's probably the 15th year it's open, something like that now.
Okay, early 2000s.
So he would he would just encourage a lot of people, but also the Farang.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of Farang came up played there too. So he knew a lot of Farang very well, and was loved very much by them, by musicians, and so that was great. Unfortunately, he developed bile duct cancer, which was a big shock for us all, and he died this year. So that was really, really sad. But his wife still runs Boy Blues Bar, and they still have live music. And they always had a jam too, like a night, open mic night, which was very, very successful. But again, it's mostly Farang, mostly.
Right now, yeah.
Well, always was for open mic more.
Okay.
But he would have Thai bands, and then sometimes some Farang.
But even the open mic idea is a testament to how encouraging he is for music.
The most amazing. Yeah. So then we had once we discovered he had cancer, we had his anniversary party for the bar. We had a big a benefit concert for him.
Last year, yeah? 2023?
Yeah, that's got to be last year. Then the next thing that happened was another amazing blues musician who's been here, who is my oldest Thai friend probably, who I knew, over 30 years ago. He's incredibly valued musician, Suchat Panpai. So he then, after a boy's cancer was discovered, Chart then had a terrible motorbike accident, was in a coma for about 3 weeks, and had brain surgery, which was only made worse by the fact that it was the second time he had this type of bike accident and brain surgery. He had one 8 years ago in the same location.
Oh my God.
So anyway, he then, we had 3 benefit concerts for him. That shows you how people treasured
his existence.
Yeah. So he has gone to his home in Surrey and has been there a year recovering. And as I say, we had the benefit concerts. Then the next thing that happened was that boy unfortunately passed away. So that was really sad for all of the musician community here. And after that, the very Thai musical community, which is a lot of very tightly knitted musicians, who there's something about the way Thai musicians are, certainly Chiang Mai musicians, they just encourage each other and they glory in each other's brilliance, and they just love it all so much. They enjoy their music so much, and they have no ego. They have no ego compared with, it's just different from Western musicians who tend to can't help it.
Very much so. I mean, after they finish, that was the one thing that I noticed a lot. After they finish, and we're like, oh, thank you. They're like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I know, and they just go away. Well, it was interesting in COVID, because in COVID it was really, really difficult for musicians, because all the entertainment venues were closed. We weren't allowed to have live music, even when they opened other things, and then they opened the restaurants again, and they just wouldn't allow entertainment. So these musicians all had nothing. So a lot of them didn't play. They play a little bit online, try to get money, but they basically were completely broke. And the wonderful thing that happened was that Papu House,
Thursday nights.
Pooh, who is amazing lady, she decided the moment that we were allowed to have any music, she said, I'm going to do a night where we have Thai musicians come and play. And so she started up her Thursday night sessions. And to see these Thai musicians when they were invited, the gratitude they had, and also that they were like, oh, I don't know if I can still play. I can't. It was amazing. They're so humble, and they were just so happy to be playing again. And she would pay them, even though she made nothing. She had no money, and she kept paying these musicians. And slowly, obviously, we were allowed to have more. And so her Thursday night, which at first she said to me, Mary, do you think anyone will come? Yes, of course they will come. And it built up into this massive night, which is quite famous now. There's normally 3 bands, and it's just fantastic. So, and she's always remunerated them well. And she's amazing.
That's why it's one of the best vibes, to be perfectly honest.
Oh yeah,
of, like,
wonderful
all the places
atmosphere. But it's mostly Farang audience.
Sure.
And as I say, these Thai musicians that play everywhere, all around. Now we have so many venues that and the fact that the Thais now will play their own music and not be shy about it. So that's grown, that's developed, and I think. For me, it's just a very special. I think it's a very creative time. It reminds me, in its tiny little way, of what happened in the 70s, late 60s and 70s, where it just seemed like everyone just sort of learned from each. I don't know. It just inspired everybody else.
It's like a renaissance almost.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what's sort of happening with Thai music and Thai musicians here. For me, it's the most creative time, certainly I've seen. The great thing in Thailand is that almost everyone seems to play the guitar. So, and they all can sing, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's more difficult for them when they sing in English because there's a lot of problems like tonal, the way you sing, it's not a native language for them. They're singing
but
many
I'm
of
still
them.
thoroughly impressed by anyone who sings in English, and then you go up to them and speak, and they're like,
I don't speak English. I know many. The men seem to, for me, are able to do it easier than the women. Certainly for blues and stuff like that.
Sure.
I think it's more difficult for women. There are some really good women singers who also sing Western, but a lot of the standards that you would hear women sing is sort of standard jazz, if you know what I mean. It's kind of lighter, sort of. Anyway, so, but they're all amazing. But it's great that their own music is kind of having this growth spurt. It is difficult for Farang to understand Thai music. So, I don't know, to understand where they're coming from. And I think that's one of the problems, even if you live here a long time, if you don't speak Thai, which it's such a difficult language, most people don't speak it very well or don't hardly speak any, that you can only understand, in some ways, however much you know the culture, you can only understand so much. To me, wherever country you're in, if you don't speak the language, there's a big chunk of culture that you just can't get.
You're missing it.
So I think that's just, it's typical everywhere.
Sure.
So, but I think that's one of the reasons why they don't warm to Thai music so much, musicians. There are a few who do, but it's rare.
I think for me, the reason why I took a lot of interest in this is because I don't understand the music by any means, but I feel it. I feel it in my bones.
Yes, that's exactly what I would call it for me, because I find it frustrating because I speak Thai, but the songs I really don't know what I can catch parts of them. I'm trying to translate some of them.
Yes.
It's even more difficult when we've got Lana songs, which now is also even developing more. So I'm working on that, trying to translate enough so that I can at least understand the Thai.
I think a lot of people would also appreciate that.
Oh, of course they would. And but it's really difficult. And you also need the time to do it, and the time to get the musicians to help you to do it. So it's a slow process. But anyway.
Tell me about the concert, 2 days ago.
Well, let me go back a little bit. Sorry, I haven't told you about the other great big event that happened. Is that, for me, the best saxophone player I've ever heard in my life, all over the world, was Egg, who is a teprasak. I just could never believe how he could play the sax with that sort of feeling. But he also was the most amazing man, because he was very, very vibrant, very lively, very funny, and connected with everyone. He connected with Farang as well in an unusual way, because most Thai people, they'll say hello to you or why you, but they don't really talk to you. But Ek would actually connect with anyone that he knew who loved music, and he would play. It was funny anyway. So he was amazing, and played with so many people, so many bands. Doesn't matter, Thai or Farang, he could play with anyone. I absolutely adored his playing. I loved him as a friend, and he loved so many people, and particularly the Thai musicians absolutely adored him.
Yeah. It's too...
So he died on his motorbike one night. 2 days later, his funeral was held in Lampang, where he's from. Where he grew up in Lamphun, really. And there were, so I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 or 4 days. There were 200, 300 people every day.
Wow.
It was the most joyous celebration of his life. And the day that he was cremated was incredible, because all his Thai bandmates came and played and played and played and celebrated him. I've never seen anything like it.
Wow.
So that was amazing. And since then, he has been celebrated. He has been loved. I don't know how to say that. It hit everyone. The Thai musicians, I've never seen them react like that. Never seen a funeral like that, a Thai funeral. And also how they reacted to his passing, and how they have kept him alive in their hearts, as I have. So after 100 days with the funeral, Thai funeral, there's 100 days, another ceremony. We had the most incredible concert at Taipei Gate for his 100 days. And they played music for 10 hours. Wow. It was quite outstanding. The joy, the coming together. And for me, I don't know what happened, but for me, he has passed his talent on to some of his closest friends. We have a saxophone player who suddenly has just blossomed into this amazing sax player, who was a very close friend of his. We have other people who have just, again, it's like he just passed his creativity on. And he's always there. He's always there whenever they play. And to say that, 2 days ago, the second most amazing thing I've ever been to with Thai musicians, we had a massive, massive is the wrong word. We had an incredibly close-knit, again, concert with 3 or 4 bands, really.
The inner circle.
Yeah. We had we have P. Bar, who's a crazy Thai musician, and we had Boy, who's a guitarist and part of that whole circuit. There was a few other people, but also Pod Helicopter Band with all of them, and then it was Mr. Cat and Friends event. So all of the musicians, and while they were playing, all the audience were basically close friends also of Ek. We had we had a cutout of Eck life size, and he was just there. He was being moved around, dancing. He was with his saxophone playing.
I love the artist.
Just the whole. He had the artist thing
the
around
card,
his neck,
yeah.
and he just is so much a part of it all that he's just celebrated along with everything. He was there with us. He's always there with us. When we had a benefit for him, he was there.
In One Nimman, that was also magical. I've been to.
Oh, that's the whole festival,
Yes,
and then at the end we had.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
like
we had him on the wall, and we had a
montage.
benefit before that at Papu House, which was amazing too. But this one 2 days ago was just lovely because everyone there. And the way what they do is they just say, "Oh, come on!" Then one drummer's playing, then another one come and play instead. Then one guitarist, then he gives his guitar to someone else, and it's just a sort of round of musicians, but they all sort of
complement each other,
feed off each other. And that was over 6 hours of non-stop music.
Wow.
And spellbinding. And that was, though, of course, completely Thai. I mean, there's a few Farang in the audience who can get Thai music.
Sure.
But it was mostly that inner circle of Chiang Mai musicians. And I can only say I feel privileged to witness all of this. And as you said, there's something about you feel the music, which is so different from in the West. And maybe, you get biased, but because I've so involved myself in Chiang Mai and my feeling is more Thai in certain ways.
Yeah.
I just love it, and I feel, like I say, I feel privileged to be part of it. And because in my life, in Chiang Mai, I tend to go out and listen to live bands, so 2 or 3 bands every night. I don't know where in the West you would do that, even if you're in a big city like, I don't know, Chicago or somewhere, where you can just go and sit in front of these people who are just playing these little venues. So in a way, it's not fair because we get to hear that, but they can't go and take that to a wider audience because they can't travel.
Yeah.
So
the only other place I can think of is like New Orleans. That might be
exactly New Orleans or somewhere where I haven't been to New Orleans, and I
neither.
know that there are places that do it. But even like I think about places like when I'm in London, but you've got to, and like Bangkok,
Yes.
you've got to travel from one place to another, and there's a certain more ego about the musicians there,
Sure.
and they're amazing. But for me, you can't beat the musicians in Chiang Mai, and maybe it's because a lot of them are young and incredible. But we also have older musicians. We have musicians who've played here for over 30 years and who are outstanding.
Yes.
So we've got the young coming up. We've got all those different kinds of music. And there's something very, very creative here. And I think in art, originally when I first came, I have to say, again, Thai is a bit like the Chinese are very good at copying.
Mm-hmm.
So originally they were copying, and they can copy art, they can copy. Most of these musicians are also artists.
Reproduction.
Now, a lot of them could just do that. But what has happened is that they've become incredibly creative. So whereas little markets 30 years ago would all be selling pretty much the same thing. I mean, it's still handmade here.
Sure.
But it was not. They weren't sort of inspired to think, well, you know what, we could do something different. So they would tend to all sell the same thing. Now, if you go to any markets now, not only is each stall maybe beautifully designed, but the products are out of this world. And you just need to go to like Jingjai Market Saturday and Sunday to see how that has grown, how every stall has this incredible creativity.
I loved it. I mean, I was just checking out some meditation bowls, and like the guy just showed me like 7 different ones, different tones, one more beautiful than the other. I wanted to just buy one, but I ended up taking 3.
And that's just one tiny thing that is produced here. So you just have to think, I don't know where in the world is this creativity in a town that's still small enough. It is now a very big town compared to when I came.
A big one.
But the old city is not a lot different to 30 years ago. As a big bus drives by. So that what I love. That's why I love to be around here, and I think it's just a great place.
It most definitely is, and like you said, is enchanting. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the water. I don't know if it's
it's
the
people.
It's
partly. It's mainly the Lana people. They're very special people from this area. They're very gentle and they're very accepting. There's a lot that we can learn from them.
Very much so.
Also, I was going to say something else about... Well, so what I do, which is kind of maybe annoying to some people, because I know that it's so wonderful, I want to capture it all. And it's not captured because there is no one who goes around like I do videoing all these bands. And so I have thousands and thousands of videos. Now I'm trying to take pictures as well, just to kind of have the whole thing. But I have of everywhere I go, I video. So it's a joke in a way, but I'm the only one who does it. So I will send them videos of themselves playing, and I just also put them up sometimes. I post them, but it's a lot of work, and
you need an intern.
Yeah, I'm not very good at computers or anything, but I so want to capture everything they do, and so that's why I do it. And I am happy, obviously. I'm happy to see them myself. I'm a visual. My memory is visual, so I have. And one thing I was just going to say, which was my only regret in my life, because when I had my round the world trip for a year, as I say, everything's visual.
Yeah.
I took, in those days we didn't have digital, and I ended up with 57 little books of photos, which is how they used to be in those days.
Sure.
Each film had a album. And when I got back to Colorado, I put them all in a box with the negatives, put them in my friend's loft, came to Thailand, and somewhere along the way it was thrown out.
No.
So I have no memories of my early time in Thailand, which were in there, and my year around the world trip. And it's the only thing that hurts. When I think of it, like inside, I just kind of
cringe really hard, right?
Because for me, photos. I have photos of everything
so
in my
much.
life, and I remember. If I look at a photo, I don't just see a photo. I'm there. I get the atmosphere. I can remember.
You're like teleported almost.
Everything.
Time travel.
Yeah. Oh, I'm completely there. So if you can imagine that it's like this chunk is gone.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Well, we can compensate that with, making sure that we record most of the things and help these musicians sort of make a name for themselves, at least in Thailand, because I truly believe so just a little bit about how I got here last November. It's very fresh, 2 months, but I remember going out in the Sunday market right before Loi Krathong, because end of November was my birthday, and it just perfectly aligned with Loi Krathong. So like all the water, like the lily pads and all the fireworks, and it was so beautiful. And just a few days before I had met Ches, and she was kind of my initiation to the whole scene. She took me to all these different bars where they do live music, and one is just better than the other one. The next is just better than the other one. The next is just better than the other one. And not necessarily better, just like different in a more unique way,
And Ches is amazing. She's only new here, but she sort of has understood. She gets it.
Oh yeah, she does. She totally does.
And she's, so she's immersed in it too.
Yeah.
And some people have been here a long time and not like that, but she's one of the people who really feels it and gets it.
Yeah.
So that's good. She's a useful.
She
person.
speaks music. Like I think that's a thing where you either have it or you don't.
Yeah, I would say for me, I have two things in my soul. It's love and music. Got too much of both.
Yeah.
I can't live without either of them.
Yeah.
So that just sums me up,
Yeah.
But music, I don't know how. I know it sounds crazy to say, but what I feel is that in the world, and maybe it's I don't know. I feel like most people love music, right?
Yes.
They really love music. But I find that then there's people you meet who you feel are the same as you in the sense that music is in your soul. It's not just that you like this or you like that, but it's like it sometimes just hurts a lot when you hear something that is so good, and it actually hurts you inside because it's so intertwined in you. Now, I don't know, maybe all those people who are out there at the festivals are loving it like that, but I feel that some people get it in a different way, and I feel that is the thing. When you look at, so when people say, oh, you're, like my ex-husband always, you're not a musician, and I'm thinking, yes, but I am, because
you have amazing
it's
taste.
so deep inside me that I can't, I know, and I can play a bit of this, but I'm just not good at anything.
Sure.
But music is 100% in me. So
I think you have amazing taste. And another thing, just like to agree with what you say about how sometimes you listen to music and it just makes your, you get the goosebumps and then you start crying and then and you're completely sober. You're just, it's a Wednesday evening and you're just listening to some music and it just, it's overwhelming. And
it is overwhelming to me almost, that happens to me probably at least once a week. And I sort of think, oh, how can this be so good? Well, maybe, other people, obviously other people have their way of doing it, and maybe there are millions of people who feel like that too. And I guess you find your sort of milieu of music, because even though I love all music, there's certain music that I love. I don't understand jazz, so real jazz I can listen, but I don't get it in the same way that I get blues, or I would say Thai music.
I mean, jazz is super improv. So
yeah, but I mean, it like if I listen, it's like me. If I listen to very loud, heavy rock, for example, I don't, I know that I'm not in it in the same way that I'm into the types of music I love. Or jazz, really good jazz, I can appreciate it, but I'm doing that. It's not hitting me in the same way.
Gotcha.
And then also like very heavy rap type of things, like my daughter's taste in music, which is extreme black music. I don't get it.
That's what I grew up with.
Yeah. So you get it, and then also even so in the sense I'm limited, because then I look at electronic music, dance, all that stuff, and because I am so into the music I'm into, I don't explore those things because I already am overwhelmed with what I have.
Right.
So yes, of course, you could explore it more, and you might get more from it, or I think it's the same. Whatever you get from different type of genres is it's aligned for you to allow the music to take you to the moment. Yes.
And I think that's what it is. Like with every
but I mean,
strum.
I think you don't have to try too hard to say, I need to go here to appreciate this.
Yes.
I need to go to
Totally
because
agree.
we have so much. We have
Absolutely.
so much here. Yeah.
It's abundant enough
Yeah.
to be just immersed in this sort of very long culture of no, it's fine. But I don't know, it feels like there's a lot of history here.
Such a magical place for me. But I mean, I'm biased, obviously people go on about places that they love. I just feel like in my life I've just been really, I know you well, to me, you create your own luck in a way.
Of course.
But what I would say is that whatever it is that has led me wherever, I'm very lucky because I've lived in very magical places. I grew up in Beirut, Lebanon, which was an amazing, amazing place.
I bet.
Again, very international, small enough, but international. It was wonderful. Then, I lived in London, which is an amazing city, and around London.
Capital of the world. Capital of the world.
Yeah, in many ways. And then, apart from living a little bit in France, in another ski area, Val d'Isère, I then lived in Vale, which is, again, another magical place, not too big, but totally international. And there is interesting because you get to meet... Because we very much, not like Aspen, which is where people go when they want to be seen, when they have a lot of money. Vale was very much people at the top of their profession who don't want to be seen.
Sure.
So we were very much service people. And that was, you get to meet the most amazing people. People at the top of their professions are often really interesting.
Yeah.
So I met a lot of very, very interesting people. And also when I taught English one-to-one in England, again, it was like I met people amazing. So lucky, and then to come here and find this, as
So this, I just want to go back to, because I heard you say the art capital of Southeast Asia.
Well, for me, it is.
I know it is for Thailand. I think that's no question, very objective.
But I just mean in the sense of just so much art as creativity, which obviously there's amazing other places. I don't know enough about Asia to say this is the... I just mean that as a place, it seems to attract... obviously, I know more about the music. It's attracted musicians from all over Thailand, from all over the world. The art, I'm not sure that it's attracted artists from all over the world, but there's some kind of creative spark which has grown since the early days. Like I say, there was a lot of copying. Now we know from the internet what amazing talent there is in the world of art. Things that when we were young we would never have known that there were that many talented musicians, artists around the world because you never would have been exposed to them. Now you can just open the internet and see the most amazing art.
So connected.
But there's a lot of that here.
Exactly. Thanks, everybody.